Hey everybody, welcome back to Yhea Foo Nah Foo. I'm this fool, and I'm here with El Tío.
What up, what up?
Gelendo.
Hello, hello.
And Ace, the return of Ace.
I'm back.
Kinda.
Is he in a box someplace?
Kinda back.
It was almost a historical moment we had.
Almost.
Where every four guys were in the same room.
I know. Well, I mean, we planned it that way. I don't know what happened. Maybe Ace could tell us his sad story.
What happened, Ace? What happened?
You know how we can watch the TV and like your girl can talk to you and you don't hear a word she says because you're focusing on the TV?
That's also true.
So this is when they ask you. They're like, "Oh, hey, so we've got dinner plans at Saturday night at 8:00," and then an hour before those events happen, it's like, I told you this.
If only there was some sort of device that had some sort of, I don't know, like a calendar,
right? Yeah.
that you could both share.
Or if you like listen when they talk to you.
Yeah.
Even when you have a day where you could go out and do a fun thing with your boys, it's like those slap you in the face. It's like, oh, I've got nothing to do today. Oh my God.
And you call.
Then you call, and then they have something to do.
Yeah, sorry, man. I know I said I was.
Well, hey, man, you got to book these plans out in front. And you're like, well, I can't.
Life doesn't go that route. So now that we've all caught up and we explained to El Tío and Gelendo here the struggles of a married man, you don't believe it. That's what I find fascinating is that you guys don't believe it.
I mean, the thing that's missing here is called communication. But I'm gonna let it go.
You know what, fools out there, can you please educate El Tío and Gelendo about what it's like to be married? You know, like
it's not the communication.
There's
zero time. It's
Listen,
literally like, what are we going to serve for dinner?
I communicate with my wife so much. The phone just texts and calls and check-ins. It's non-stop, fool. There is communicating to the point where you have to hit the mental mute button where you're just like, I'm turning you off. I can't. The bandwidth. There's only so much of it. All right. Cleanse.
Okay.
All right.
I guess.
All right.
Let's cleanse our palate.
Let's cleanse that. It's our 50th episode.
It is our 50th episode. Yeah. Woo. Applause.
Somehow, we pulled 50 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, we somehow were able to string it together via work and struggles and technical difficulties.
Yeah, I was looking at the graph of all the episodes that I sent to Foo, and it's just been going up and up and up. And the very first episode still is the
most listened
downloaded or listened to.
Yeah, 75 listens the first episode,
which is pretty cool,
right?
Yeah.
We're at 1,500 listeners out there. Let's give it up to the full army out there, slowly growing worldwide.
Yes.
Worldwide.
Yes. And remember, too, as listeners, hit the subscribe button, the like button, not only for the podcast, but check out the Instagram.
We're on TikTok now, right?
And we're on... yes, we've got a couple up on TikTok. We've got on Instagram, of course, the promos, but we also have the shorts that are going to start going up on YouTube. So if you go and just do a search for Yhea Foo Nah Foo, and you'll see on YouTube, and you could subscribe to that. And so
we're doing things. You know, Gelendo's the one that came up with this great idea where he was like, "Hey, I want to do this show, but not about like the top 50 or whatever, but he wanted to do one about what was your
how has doing the podcast, how has it changed your life?
And I thought that was a great idea, and so I think we can come up with like 3. Right? We do 3.
I can come
3
up
ways.
With more.
Well, I can come up with more. Well, why don't we start with Gelendo?
I thought it would have been great if all 4 of us were going to be here. But,
dude, El Tío is over here crying for.
It would have been epic for our 50th. Maybe we'll try for our 100th. Maybe for 100. Hey, you know what?
Oh yeah, let's put this in the calendar now.
Yeah, I'm gonna text Nena and ask for permission,
because we could do the math. We've been doing episodes. We do episodes every week. So we can actually go and put that into the calendar.
Yeah.
50 weeks from now, we will be doing our 100th episode. So put that in your calendar and make sure that's cleared.
Yeah. Well,
It's like a dentist appointment. Right here.
El Tio's really upset, dude. He's heartbroken over this. It's all right, man.
That's okay.
It's all right, dude. You'll
Well,
see
I haven't
him.
seen Ace in a while.
I
too,
know. I know you.
I
And
haven't
then-
seen Ace in a while. It's been over a year. I think.
Yeah. How has it changed your life?
Well, one of the biggest things, and it's kind of a blanket statement, but the fact that I've learned so much, so many different things from whether it's from all of you guys, even with Brother Anthony, the whole thing with the different guests that we've had on, the female perspective of things. I think that has been the coolest thing. That just even like our last episode that we went and did, that we were just kind of just shooting the shit about how hard it is to make a living and to buy a house, and then to go, and it causes us to go and dig in to find out those numbers, and you just go, holy cow, I didn't realize.
On that same subject, I was watching Kirk Douglas has just made a documentary based on that.
You mean Michael Douglas?
Michael Douglas.
Yeah,
His
Kirk
dad
Douglas
is
dead.
dead.
Sorry, Michael Douglas.
Okay.
It's just
Yes.
yeah.
I am Spartacus.
He just
Douglas.
he just did a documentary based on the economics situation of, of everyone. And I was like, oh, look at that. We were just hitting the. What episode was that? That was 40.
I don't know, like
8,
48?
Yeah, because
48. Yeah,
we just did the one.
I'm
with
sure,
Brett.
and and it's making you forced to think outside the box, right?
Yeah, it's causing me to go, just like with Brother Anthony, and when he starts bringing up all this stuff that normally I wouldn't be thinking about things happening in Africa, or plant-based diets, or how the agriculture, affects the planet.
What about you, Theo?
Well, it's the same thing. I've learned a lot of stuff. Like Brother Anthony was one of the things. Like the Africa stuff. Also, it makes me think that I could do better. Like I didn't realize there's people like him out there. It's like there's real people. You hear about them, but like you've never really met somebody. I haven't met him, but I've
in spirit,
in spirit, And I think it's made me want to do better,
right?
In a lot of ways,
it makes you want to do better,
and learning the stuff. Like Jolando said, it was like it's pretty amazing. Like having other people's thoughts in the same subject, how different it is, but it's cool.
Yeah, right. What about you, Mr. Ace over there? I know you've been MIA, but that's because of the renovation. But have you learned anything from this experience?
Don't remodel. Don't buy a house. Don't start a family.
Oh my gosh, come on. Can I get some cheese with that wine, for Christ's sake?
Is that the wambulance outside your
Yeah.
house? Well, what's going on?
The thing I've learned the most is, although you guys did way more heavy lifting than I did, how if we have an idea and we work together where we were in the dark, we didn't know how to do any of this stuff, through working on it, able to get to 50.
Yeah, I think Jolando's been doing like most of the
He's been
heavy
doing a
lifting.
lot of the heavy
That's
lifting.
why his shoulder's messed up.
Who's going to carry the boats? Who's going to carry the boats?
Jolando's carrying the boats.
dude.
Yeah. It has forced me to like get involved, and it's forced me to to stretch my brain in a place where I didn't think I was ever going to have to. I mean, I swing a hammer. I carry furniture.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, there's thinking involved, but this is a totally different thing to think about.
Yeah, but you wind up going getting the whole thing with the podcast that you went and did, that you do the deep dive of figuring out the psychology of why it's happening, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that the fact that I started going into why is this a phenomenon? Why is this medium taking off? And that allows you to think like what's going on in society, like what's going on with men, what's going on with women, why is this a thing? And you start seeing, there's a loneliness epidemic, people don't have friends, and I know there's a certain amount of people that listen to us and that feel that we've become friends. Because they hear us laughing and they hear us talking in an intimate fashion that they're like, oh, that's what it must be like. or that feels like
we
who we
we
are.
need to figure out how to get live callers on.
Oh well, don't worry.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We're working on that. Jolenda's working that. We're
back in France again.
we're working on that. But yeah, the psychology of it is it has been what I've learned about it, and then again talking to Brother Anthony and making me think in worldly terms. I mean, that guy has probably affected me in a way where where I just because I didn't, again, like El Tio says, like I've only heard of people like him, never really like where he's texting me, he texts me stuff now, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, this guy's out there in the world, and I'm over here.
He cares.
He cares and shares.
Yeah, it's hard to find people that care.
Yeah,
nowadays,
and not just that he's not just.
But not just cares. He actually does.
Yeah,
stuff.
he's not actually.
Because I care. I just don't do anything about
Right.
it.
I'll donate the $5 to the Jerry Lewis telethon, but please don't ask me to get involved.
Yeah. He's like balls deep.
Yeah.
He's like balls deep in it, where you're just like, you can only, because then he'll say, well, what are you doing? I don't know, man. I gotta do something. I recycle.
I mean,
But that's the thing. You got to start somewhere. Just like with this podcast.
Yeah.
We got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And
That-
you guys doing the very first episode, and the audio is as janky as it was.
There was something there.
That was the first step.
Yeah, that was the
Everything
first step.
starts with the first step.
hey, I mean, I'm coaching because of that now,
Yeah.
and because of, this fool here
It's encouraging you to do
trying
something.
to do something better, giving back, I guess.
Giving back.
Right.
I would say the other thing that one episode that I learned and that no one got to hear, I sat here with Rumi and with Nurse Ratchet for 2 hours. And I got the ins and outs of women regarding dating. And it was so in depth and in detail. I could not believe.
Oh, you forgot to press record?
I forgot to press record. It was for 2 hours. And what they told me shocked me. It shocked me. It completely, to the point where after I thought I was done recording, I didn't even give it to Jolendo to edit. I was just like, I gave it to Rooming. I was like, I don't know if a man should even attempt to decipher what was important and what wasn't important.
So secretive, the universe shut it down.
Yeah, boy, it was so secretive that the universe was like, nah, this is only. I felt so privileged to know that, because I was like, oh my God, everything I thought I knew about women was wrong. It changed the way I looked at my wife. It changed the way I looked at my daughter. And it's sad that I couldn't record it because it was so blatantly honest and truthful. They talked about dating in a way that I never ever looked at. They shared this one thing where they're like, you sometimes, like, there was this, I'm paraphrasing here, so please excuse Rumi or Nurse Ratchet if I say this. They're like, you will go out with a guy. This is what stuck with me. They're like, you will go out with a guy and you'll say, oh yeah, he's cool, he's nice, he's whatever, I like him. And then you'll get into that intimate place, clothes are starting to come off, and then he'll look at you in a way to make you feel like a prey. Like suddenly you've made a bad choice, but you've gone too far. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, it happens all the time. They're like, they will look at you like suddenly they're sociopathic. And I was I was shocked. And the thing that shocked me, it was that they were both just kind of telling me nonchalantly and looking at each other and being like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like this happens all the time. Like, yeah, right? And I was like, so wait a minute.
Well, there's a lot of creepos out there.
It was a shocking conversation to have. A man, as hearing it so like honest like that from these two women that I know, like, and telling me and just being like, hey, and just being all of it being so truthful. It was it affected me. It affected me the way I looked at my daughter. It affected me the way I am with my wife. It affects me when I see women. It affected me. It was like, oh shit.
Had you only hit the record button, the rest of us could have shared.
Yeah. It might have changed the world.
Might have changed the world. That's right. That might have put us over the top, and we would have been at maybe.
It might have gone viral.
150,000.
It might have been like, have you guys heard this Yhea Foo Nah Foo?
Exactly.
Dude, this fool broke it down. He broke down the barrier.
But you guys talked about it a little bit. Didn't go in afterwards because you recorded it
It
again.
wasn't
the
as
same.
raw. It wasn't as raw. It was they had self-edit themselves. The second time, a lot. They had self-edited a lot. It wasn't nearly what they had told me. And that conversation was amazing. That I think changed me. The technical aspect of this show has changed me, and I think the fact that this show has made me want to get curious about other stuff. So I have stuff to share and ask questions about, and ask what you guys feel about a certain subject or whatever. So it does make my brain kind of like expand a little bit more. Even if I sound foolish, that doesn't matter to me. It's just more like, well, I never thought about that subject. I never thought about this subject, like that economic subject that we talked about.
Right.
I never really, I mean, to find out that there's a large, like, what was it? 49%, 50%, 40% that only have $10,000 to retire.
Yeah.
Close to 50.
Close to 50%. Can you imagine that? Only having 10 grand to retire, and you're like looking at retirement and you're just like, I only got 10 grand. That's for it to be like 50%. El Tío his jaw dropped and he was like, what?
And then the different guests that we had, like
about the turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That blew me away too.
That was mind.
That was mind.
That blew our minds.
That got me really good too. I mean, I'm a son of a minister. Everything's been preached to me about Israel. Come to find out that my origin, or the religion of my origin, started in Turkey. It kind of like,
well, that just proves to my point, whereas the Bible's all fake.
That doesn't prove it's fake.
It doesn't
just
Made up stories that get lost over time and get
No,
exaggerated.
the Bible
stories
tells you exactly where it is.
The
road to
stories
Samaria.
Did you not
Exactly.
listen to the episode?
Yes, I get it.
Did you watch the documentary?
I did not watch the documentary.
But that's the thing, is that the stories are true, and then you go and see,
because man changed.
No,
The way
because-
that it's been preached to
Right.
you
That's what I'm
has
saying.
changed.
Yeah.
the story's not changed, but where you think that it's all happening.
The leading
Right,
to
right.
believe, they make you lead to believe that that it all takes place in this one part of the world, and it's like, no, it actually took place on this part of the world. It kind of fucks with you. If you grew up in
Yes.
that, it fucks with you, because you're like, but my pilgrimage has always been to go to Israel. And it's like, why would you want to go to Israel? Your shit starts in Turkey.
On the road to Jerusalem.
Yeah, dude, I'm on the road to Damascus. Oh, dude, it was for me personally, it still messes with me when I think about it.
Yeah, I haven't. After I listened to it, I haven't thought about it once.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah, I always.
Well, yeah, that's why your brains are getting
and
shrink.
then
I mean, I think about other stuff, just not religion.
all the other technology, like for me, as far as like it's pushed me as far as editing, and so I have to keep on trying to go and learn different ways of editing. The AI that we use to go and create all the assets and stuff is pushed, and it's fun. I love doing it. And we go and do that deep dive into AI. I'm always trying to go and find new stuff and sharing that. And that's been the cool thing. And, discovering what kind of new mics to go and use. There's different things of doing the podcast that you could how it's gone and affected me, of going to Trader Joe's of what kind of food I'm going to go and pick up.
Yeah. I mean, has it affected you that when we started this podcast, Google was at 130 and now it's at like 190? No one besides me.
I mean,
That's right.
Well, I've got it, yeah, but I don't. I'm
it's
not.
not going to affect them. I can't retire.
That's right.
Unless I would have
That's
used
right,
pin
dude.
paste math.
That's right, dude. El Tío here doesn't want making 10 grand is nothing to him. If it's not going to change my life,
It's not nothing, but yeah, it's not like,
I for everything that this show has given me, I think it's given me more perspective on life. And it's definitely got me out of I don't know if you guys feel this, but it gets me out of the daily rut.
I mean, it's something to do, something
Right.
to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said podcasts are so popular because you listen to, there's so many people out there that want to be heard. And then on top of that, so many people that feel the same way. And that's why, they
That
listen
there's
to
a common-
specific.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a common, and it doesn't have to be somebody super famous. It's just somebody that, hey, likes to the same thing or is in the same thing that you are, and you listen to it and you like it.
Yeah, it's doing a home improvement.
Makes you
or
feel part of something.
like
For
you're not
sure.
alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
And that's the other thing too, because then when you go and you talk to your friends or
When someone tells me or someone reaches out on Instagram that they heard it, it kind of shocks me.
right, but the reason that they go and they say, "Oh wow, yeah, I always hear is it sounds like you guys are all just having a lot of fun."
Yeah.
and they like that.
I think that what makes the show a little more interesting is the fact, or or at least from where I gather from the data, is the fact that the voices change and the subject's never the same. So the fact that we're constantly kind of jumping around, it gives it. I mean, to me, I know I would like it when I tune in, that it's not the same thing, that it's always a little like a little surprise, but within the same within the same flavor. So like even though I think we did this once with Brother Anthony, but we haven't talked to Brother Anthony about like just general life stuff. I think we did it with the generational stuff, but to hear his perspective on life, besides just the environment, I'm really curious to hear his philosophy on life. When it comes to all the other stuff that we haven't been able to cover, just because he's an interesting guy, I'm curious. What's your philosophy of life, Brother Anthony? What's the point here? Where are we going? And like stuff like that, I think is where the show should kind of go. And I think when we keep it light, when we talk about sports and stuff, which I think is great. When we had Mr. Pempe on, it was hysterical.
Yeah, it's good time.
Right. I think that not having an agenda, because it's the same thing that if we all get together for if you're having a barbecue, before we're coming over, we're not really going, okay, at that barbecue, here's the things that I'm kind of going to go and talk about. It's just, you're just shooting the crapola, and whatever goes and happens, that's what happens. And it's more fun than, like what you said, you don't know what's going to be talked about.
Yeah, I as much as I would like to try to focus it. The reason I don't think we could probably focus it, just because in the end we're a bunch of fools. In other words, we're not experts. You know what I mean? On anything.
And
so
we're
it's
in
just
the Matrix. This is not real.
Yeah, we're just food for the energy.
My daughter listens to this every so often, whenever I feel like it's appropriate for her to listen to, and she kind of has caught on that every so often. I believe that we're in a simulation or whatever, and so so she's come back from vacation. By the way, we came back from Cabo, and there'll be a whole Cabo log and a Cabo show. She came back from Cabo and she woke up in her bed and she was like, did we even go? Were we even really there? She's like, how come it feels... He's like, I know we were there for 5 days, but it doesn't even feel like it happened.
That's the simulation.
The simulation, Paul.
Well, but I mean, hey, it's not something that when you go on vacation, it's another world. And you come back and you have to be back to reality.
I think
that's what it is.
That's what it is. She's had like an epiphany. You know what I mean?
Damn, that's another life. Like, why can't I live like that?
Yeah,
all
like
the
she
time?
had an experience of like, I was living this life for like a week. You know what I
Another
mean?
country.
All things will pass.
Yeah,
Nothing is
she just got
permanent.
to experience that, like that time shift in her life where she was just like aware of it, and she's just like, dude, did that even?
I mean, that still happens to me. Not that if it happened, but just
I remember,
like you get on a plane and you're like in another country. The culture is completely different. Like it's just another life.
I remember it happened to me, but I was way older. It happened to me when we got back from Europe. Like I was like, did I really even go?
Well,
Right? Remember that?
But
we were there for 3 weeks.
I know that reason for that.
Well, yeah, there was
Too many drugs.
I was just. I have a lot of that stuff happen.
I was cleaning my garage and getting rid of stuff, and I found like this envelope with like pictures of girls, and I didn't recall any of them.
See, it's a
It's
not
was
real.
crazy.
I was going to tell you guys what happened. So you all know how I feel about flying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The claustrophobia that happens. Like, this didn't happen with you, Ace, because we were just popped that pill and drank and passed the fuck out. Wake up wherever the hell we woke up, right? But then when I started, like now, I can't do that because I'm responsible for these women. That's how I feel. It's how I feel. It ain't real. I get it. I understand. and then I'll get the claustrophobia and the claustrophobia would be something simple like, I just want to open a goddamn window. Like, I just get so hot, I just want to open a window, right? And so my mind had to go somewhere where it could just go, right? And it went to this, and I don't know why it went there, but this is where it went to. It went to, when did you lose your virginity? I was like, 17, 18. Who was it with? And then how many have you slept with? And I started going down the number of women I slept with. And then it was after I got to, 3.
Good answer.
I was like, can you remember their names? Followed by, can you remember their last name? And I couldn't, some of them I couldn't remember. It was a crazy experience that I had once the plane landed. I was like, wow, that soothed me.
So did you use that same technique for on the way home?
On the way home, I was by the emergency exit. And it gave me peace to be by the emergency exit. I didn't feel claustrophobic.
So you had a false sense of security.
And you know what it felt like? It felt like if I do get hot, I could open the window. I gotta say, like flying out of an Airbus, I enjoyed the Airbus. I've only flown with Boeing, so this is the first time I ever flew out of Airbuses. This is a Mexican airline. Both of those, Viva and Volaris.
Yeah, they're nice planes.
They're nice planes. So it was nice though. It was 3 rows. It was nice. It's their Southwest, which our Southwest sucks in comparison. It just made me. We're falling behind, guys. This is falling behind.
Well, that's because you want to pay. Remember, McDonald's employees $20 an hour.
So Boeing can't make a decent plane
because. What you got to imagine? What you got to pay a technician now?
To tighten up that bolt full.
Yeah, because the CEO's got to make his $2 billion.
Yeah, well, exactly.
God forbid.
I think we covered it for our 50th.
Yeah.
Yes.
How this podcast changed your life? We talked a little bit about this and a little bit about that. I got some spread.
I just want to say that I was talking to Foo about this earlier, and one of the things about going from the first episode until what we've been doing now, but the very first episode, because it just got done. There was no thought into, well, is it going to be good enough? Is the quality going to be there? Because I was telling him about this guy that said, telling your friends about the thing that you're going to do is not doing it. Planning to do it is not doing it. Doing research about it is not doing it. Putting it into your calendar is not doing it. Doing it is doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do for everything
Doesn't
and anything that you're planning on doing.
Whether you want, that's
what Fool and I were actually talking about before we went through with it. We're like, we just have to do it and figure it out after.
Yeah. This has been that. This probably has changed my perspective on that mindset, even though I've always kind of have had it, but this really has said it doesn't matter.
Well, remember in 2020, I think me and you went to floating.
Yeah.
And you had, remember we were talking about doing that YouTube channel instead?
Yeah.
So you've always had it in your mind.
I just had too many excuses. We wrapped a show recently. And we had a young kid with us wrapping the show, and this falls along the same line because because of this show, my mindset had changed so much by then that I'm like, if I could do this, I could do anything. He had never wrapped a show, and for everyone who doesn't understand wrapping a show, it's tedious. It's not hard, but it's tedious, and it requires a little bit of stamina. And he had never done it before, and once we finished, I looked at him and was like, "Hey, you did a great job. Did you learn anything?" He's like, "Yeah, it's gotta get done." He's like, "That you just have to do it." He's like, "Hey," I was like, "Yeah, that's for anything." I'm like, "Yeah, and you're in a deadline, and it has to just get done." He's like, "Yeah, you can't just sit here and complain or fucking excuses." He's like, "It just has to get done."
Right.
He's like, I'm like, "Yeah, okay." He's like that. I remember telling his dad that, and he's like, "Well, there you go. That is a gigantic thing to learn."
Right.
I've taken secrets from El Tío and Jalindo and you. Every person I meet, I kind of take a little bit. They don't know. I mean, I don't tell you guys I take it, but.
Oh, I know. This is a simulation, dude.
So, should we sign out?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So thank you for the 50, and we'll hope to drop another 50 soon.
Yeah, and make sure you go and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and check out us on Instagram and anywhere else.
You know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't you guys start telling us what you guys would like to talk about on Instagram?
Because it's our 50th podcast. Take our show and send it to 3 of your friends.
Yeah, dude. Why don't you help grow the full army a little bit? And we're out.
Where's the chicky?
Chicka, 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 chicka. Ow!